I mean, Governor, did you have a lot of opposition from the oil industry or oil and gas industry? I mean, did they point out that this was going to be costly? I mean, what does this actually mean in terms of their operations?
Well, they're estimating, I think, $60 million a year, $60 to $80 million a year. But, I mean, those companies just in Canada, Anadarko, Noble will probably invest somewhere close to $5 billion this year in Colorado. So it's a significant investment. They're very serious about their bottom lines. These are publicly traded companies that have to answer to their shareholders. But, you know, they, in the end, when we announced the regulations in February, we had, you know, the representatives from the environmental community, Fred came out, but we also had the senior management from the industry, from Encana and Anadarko and Noble, both claiming victory. And I think that's probably the right way to do regulation is, you know, when you're sitting down and these guys, you know, sometimes if you ever hear cat fights behind closed doors, you just hear the snarling and the rowling. And so that's what it sounded like in the room where they were negotiating on several occasions. But the bottom line was, in the end, both sides claimed victory. And I think that's the trick.
Now, the trick is, Governor, that ultimately we've got to get to a world where it's not victory and defeat. Right. It's problem and solution.
Absolutely.
And I think the reason we felt so good about it is, you know, thanks to you and the leadership in these companies, we were able to take a problem, understand the facts, take it apart, put it back together, get to a solution, you know, that was practical. It turns out, we commissioned a study by ICF, a big consulting firm. What would it take in America, in the United States, to reduce emissions all over the country by 40%? It turns out what it would take is an investment of 1 penny per 1,000 cubic feet of produced gas. So 1,000 cubic feet of produced gas, or about 1 million BTUs of natural gas, nowadays costs about $4.50. So even if that 1 penny is all additive, for $4.50, in other words, my natural gas bill is $120 a couple months ago. If in the winter, had this change been made and we reduced pollution by 40%, air pollution by 40%, it would have been $120.25. This is a tiny incremental cost, and I've come to think about it, you know, I expect the natural gas companies to be for this happening all across America, because in terms of winning back the trust of Americans on these issues, methane release is not the only environmental issue involved in fracking. But if the companies won't support doing this for such a trivial cost, how can they be trusted on the other issues? Well, the good news is they are supporting this here in Colorado, and I hope and expect, and I'm going to, you know, work my tail off to get them to support it everywhere else too.